Live an optimal life through health and wellness. Be well, get well, and stay well.
I wanted to tell you all of that about your immune system, just to give you the confidence that, we just didn't mix a few ingredients together, shake the bottle, keep our fingers crossed and make it work. But, we do take a really diligent approach when we're formulating products. And that's just an example, and want to give you that confidence that that's what happened in this stage. So why are the ingredients so low? I'm not exactly sure what that's getting at exactly. And I think, I think there's a couple reasons why people are saying that. I think one, if someone's going to the supermarket, and maybe they're reaching for some of the competitors that are out there, they'll see grams of vitamin C, they'll see massive doses of zinc that's in the product, and significantly higher doses most likely of vitamin D. But let's talk about especially those ingredients, because I think that's probably where the confusion may lie a little bit. Let's start with vitamin C, and maybe I'll share my screen. And the other point I want to make, the difference with the competitors that are on, especially the supermarket shelves, those are meant to be taken when an individual feels that first sign of something coming on, maybe that little tickle in their throat. I think the brand team did an amazing job with naming this product with LifeVantage Daily Wellness. This isn't meant to be taken when you feel that little tickle in your throat. It's meant to be taken every single day to keep our immune system as healthy as possible, so that when it does meet a challenge, it's ready to jump on top of it. So that's point number one. And then let's work through the ingredients one by one. And I did have a slide ready just in case this question came up. So this is what a lot of, especially vitamin C researchers, consider to be the end all be all of vitamin C pharmacokinetics inside of our bloodstream. So what that means is, how quickly do we absorb vitamin C, and then at what dose do we start to maximize concentrations? So what we have on the bottom here on the x-axis is the dose. Okay, so you can see the dose is increasing. And then here we have the concentration of vitamin C inside of the blood. So you can see at relatively low doses. So here we have zero milligrams. Here we have 10 milligrams. Here, this is a little bit of an old paper from 1996. Then the current RDA was 30 milligrams per day. So 0, 10, 30. Then we jump up to 100, 200, 500, 1 gram, and then 2.5 grams. So what happens here, you start to reach the deflection point between 100 and 200 milligrams of vitamin C. So somewhere right in this range is where you maximize your circulating levels of vitamin C. So literally, statistically speaking, you don't gain any more benefit by even taking 2.5 grams of vitamin C versus taking that 150 or so range. So when we're talking about ranges being so low, we're maximizing effectively your circulating levels of vitamin C. And currently right now, the RDA for vitamin C is 60 milligrams if you're a woman and 90 milligrams if you're a man. So we're still at 2 times, one, the RDA, and then also maximizing plasma concentrations or circulating blood concentrations of vitamin C. So I love where our dose is at. This also doesn't take into account the vitamin C you're going to be getting from your diet. And then a little bit of a theme you're going to hear is we also have a pretty exciting year this year as it relates to product launches. So we're also taking into consideration some of the other things we have in the pipeline and current things we already have in our product portfolio. The next one would be, let's come back up to the doses. The next one would be vitamin D. So yeah, 5 micrograms. If you've ever heard me talk, you know that I love vitamin D. Vitamin D is the #1 nutritional deficiency in the world. I think the current RDA of around 800 international units per day is still far too low from what people need to be taking. A couple considerations for the dose of vitamin D that we have in this product. One, obviously maintenance dose, but then two is this was an international formula. So there was a conglomerate of countries that made it so that we had to keep 200 international units as the maximum dose that we could add to the product. But more than that, safety is another thing we wanted to take into consideration. So we also need to assume that many of you are going to be taking the majority of the products in our product portfolio. And so we have to keep safety in mind. And so as we're rolling out other products, you're going to see vitamin D sprinkled throughout the product line, and we are going to get people to a very efficacious dose of vitamin D. And the other reason that that becomes important is as we start to bundle these products together in either stacks or various bundles, we also have to be cognizant of what a country's upper limit might be in that especially stack situation. So for example, in the United States, the upper limit is 4,000 international units. So if we were to offer some sort of stack, we couldn't go above that 4,000 international units. So as you can see, there's a lot of moving parts that came into deciding on that final dosage. And we did land on that 5 micrograms of vitamin D. And then the last one is zinc. And zinc is really, really interesting. The RDA for women is 8 milligrams, and for men, it's 11 milligrams. That has been shown to be a very efficacious dose to support your immune system. One. Two, we have the same product line situation going on. So you're going to be seeing zinc in other places in the product line. But then zinc also has kind of an Achilles heel, and it's what we call this therapeutic window. So some nutrients have a really narrow therapeutic window, and others have a really broad therapeutic window. So what do I mean by therapeutic window? We obviously know on one end of a bell curve, right, none is bad. But we also know on the other end of the bell curve, too much can be equally bad. And you can literally throw everything in biology on these bell curves. I mean, you can put water on this bell curve. None is bad. You'll die from dehydration. But you can also die from drinking too much water. It throws your electrolyte balance out of whack, and you can die from a heart attack. So when it comes to zinc, we know that doses right around 10 milligrams is healthy. Again, this doesn't include what you're already getting from your diet. But if we go above 40 milligrams of zinc, it has the exact opposite effect on the immune system, one, and two, it can have a number of other negative consequences, especially as it comes to the transportation of other essential minerals inside of our body. So again, I hope that helps illustrate just how deliberate we were in the dosages that we chose.
Okay, and then I have, are any of the gums xanthan or gar? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, guar gum or xanthan gum. Oh gosh, I'd have to pull the formula up really quick, and maybe I can do that at the very end. But I guess the other question that I would throw back out is why those would necessarily maybe be a concern, or who knows, maybe people want them, but for some reason, xanthan gum and guar gum get a very bad reputation in some circles of the nutritional industry. But the word gum is nothing more than the word fiber. So you can substitute fiber for gum. That's all gums are, is a specific type of fiber. So even if it is in there, I wouldn't have any concerns because it's just a fiber and it's going to help support your microbiome.
Nice. Generic question, what makes this unique?
Yeah, a couple aspects. One would be the combination of those 5 ingredients. I don't know of another product that has that combination of those 5 ingredients. The thing that I do think makes it the most unique, and what I do know is this is the first place that this fermented yeast extract has been used in more of a food application than taking it in a supplement.
Perfect. Okay, what is the biggest difference in benefit with our immune support booster versus competitors?
I think it comes back to that 5 to thrive. So those 5 ingredients, it's what I call um, really the immune greatest hits. It's interesting when you go and look at the marketing and sales data from 2020. Um, that immune support space was up, if memory serves, 21% in 2020, maybe for obvious reasons. And in the US alone, I believe that equated to $22 billion. The number one seller in those categories, one was a multivitamin, multi-mineral product. Number two was vitamin C. It might be C or D, I forget, but C, D, zinc, and then it goes down from there. So we have all the greatest hits. Everybody knows that they're great nutrients to support your immune system, but then also being able to add the elderberry and that fermented yeast extract in there, it's an amazing combination for immune support. Exactly. And then just the daily aspect of this product as well, right? We know it's completely safe to take every day throughout the year. Yeah, because we don't just need help in the winter time, for example. We need help all year round. Maybe you're an air traveler. Air travel puts a tremendous amount of stress on your body. There's a lot of reasons. So this really proactive approach to immune health is also just a great way. And I don't know of a lot of companies that are taking a really proactive daily approach to immune health. We really want to encourage people to take this first thing in the morning. So hopefully they're keeping it right close to their whatever their daily routine is. We'll just add a scoop to water really quick, slug it down, and you're done for the day.
Can this much zinc outbalance copper absorption?
Well, that's a very intelligent question, because that's exactly why we don't want to go above that 40 milligrams. So it's above that 40 milligrams where you start to see that inhibition of copper transport. And so again, why we're taking it, down close to the RDA, above the RDA for women, just right below for men. And again, the zinc that we're going to have sprinkled throughout the coming year, we still know we're in that safe aspect, but that doesn't start to occur until about 40 milligrams daily.
And what's the safe dose of vitamin D3 daily?
Well, I like to answer this question in reverse. So vitamin D is very, very easy to measure in your blood. There's at-home test kits where you can do a quick little finger prick test. People absorb vitamin D at different rates. Vitamin D is also consumed in a number of different ways, and especially in stressful situations. So everybody has a little bit of a unique circumstance for vitamin D. The recommendation by some of the leading professionals in the world is that your circulating levels, and I'm so glad I'm talking to mostly an American audience, is between 40 and 60. So if you remember that number, the units is nanograms per mil. But if you just remember, between 40 and 60 is where I think the starting point where everyone should be. And then you definitely want to be below 100. So and some simple math to be able to get there for an average population is that for every 100 international units that you take, it will increase your circulating level by 1. So as we're talking about getting to that 40 to 60, we want to be somewhere between 4,000 to 6,000 international units per day, and then definitely below 10,000 in the average population.
Okay, let's look down here.
And I would encourage everyone to get your vitamin D levels tested. Again, number one nutritional deficiency in the world. A lot of people think, I live in Southern California or Florida. I'm out in the sun all the time. I think you might be shocked. I had a little stint for a little bit working directly with the Women's Tennis Association. I don't know if you could ever guess what their number one injury would be, but for them, it turned out to be shin splints. Right? I mean, you would think ACLs or torn muscles, but shin splints were their number one shin splints was their number one injury. So I asked the question if they had measured their vitamin D levels, because vitamin D is essential for calcium absorption, among other things. But they thought that was a ridiculous ask on my part, because you have these young women that are out in tank tops and short skirts all day, out in the sun playing tennis. there's no way they would be deficient in vitamin D. They found that almost every single individual that they tested was deficient in vitamin D. So not a more model population that you would guess would have good vitamin D levels, and they were almost all to an individual deficient in vitamin D. So they immediately implemented vitamin D testing protocols, and once they got everyone's vitamin D levels right, their shin splint problem went away.
And Brian, to confirm that, I'm here in Claremont where the U.S. track and field training facility is, and I know the guy that's the head of it. They just did a massive vitamin D checking on about 30 of the top 25 sprinters in the world that all live here and train. 92% of them were deficient in vitamin D. So to confirm what you're saying, it's crazy that many athletes and their injury levels have went down by about 75% from increasing it up. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
that was amazing, because I would have said that too. Well, in Florida, I'm from Florida, I'm not there now, but I would think that you would be getting what you needed. That was huge for us to understand. So just about everybody needs to assume that they are deficient, not okay.
Yeah, well, just get tested and know for sure. It's, like I said, very easily done. Or the next time you're in your doctor's office, just ask him or her to test your vitamin D levels. It's a simple test.
And that test will give us a reading that will tell us if we're in that 40 to 60 range.
Yeah. So you absolutely need to be above 20. Below 20 is considered deficient. I think that's too low. So I shoot to be at 50, and then that gives me a little bit of wiggle room in there, up or down.
And there is a question: what is the difference between D3 and D2 in regards to deficiency? Is that fair enough to ask?
This is an interesting question, and it gets a little bit philosophical, and I'll try to tiptoe around it. Vitamin D3 is the natural form that's found in our bodies. Vitamin D2, for most intents and purposes, is a synthetic vitamin D. So if you go to the doctor and you get prescribed as severely vitamin D deficient, they will write you a prescription for probably somewhere around 50,000 international units. So just a massive dose. But that dose is going to be D2. D2 doesn't work as efficiently. They're not far off, but vitamin D2 doesn't work as well as the natural form, vitamin D3. So, without getting into too much of the politics, it's really hard to patent a natural ingredient. It was discovered that this compound that's related roughly to vitamin D3 has what they call vitamin D activity. So it can still bind to the things it needs to bind to, because it's, for all intents and purposes, not a natural compound. It can be patented. And so there are pharmaceutical companies that make it and make a lot of money off of it. I don't know if that was very subtle or not, but D2 is, like I said, considered synthetic. D3 is a natural form.
Thanks for watching, and remember, one change can have an enormous effect. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell and the like, and we'll see you next time on Love to Live.